Have you ever noticed that one of the most reputationally consequential sentences in an office begins very softly? I probably shouldn't be telling you this. Your coworker leans closer, the room gets quieter. Somewhere, a confidentiality policy feels a disturbance in the force. Then they tell you something private. A manager may be leaving, a teammate is struggling, two departments are fighting. Someone's promotion is apparently complicated, which is office language for a story that has already grown several unauthorized chapters. And the strange thing is, the disclosure feels good. You feel included, trusted, closer to the person who told you. That feeling is not imaginary. Private information can create a real feeling of social connection, but it does not prove the relationship is safe. When the disclosure evaluates someone who is not in the room, the same act that says, "you are inside," also shows that this person is willing to carry another person's information. That is different from someone sharing their own experience, giving authorized information, or raising a good faith safety or misconduct concern. And once you respond, you may no longer be just a listener, you may be part of the network. So why can confidential gossip feel like trust even when it may reveal the opposite? And how do you stay connected without becoming the next stop on the rumor delivery route? First, we need a better definition. Workplace gossip is not every informal conversation about another person. It is usually evaluative talk about someone who is not present. It can be positive, negative, neutral, accurate, distorted, useful, cruel, protective, or completely mundane. Sam handled that client brilliantly. Is gossip in the broad sense. Sam is definitely getting fired because I saw a calendar invite. Is also gossip, but with a much more adventurous relationship to evidence. If we treat all gossip as evil, we miss why it exists. Informal talk helps people learn the unwritten rules of a group. Who follows through? Which leader changes priorities? What behavior earns trust? What happened the last time someone challenged a decision? Which meeting is called optional but somehow affects your future? Formal structures tell you the organization chart. Informal conversation tells you how the organization actually moves. That information can help people cooperate and avoid risk. The problem is that the same channel that carries useful social knowledge also carries speculation, coalition pressure, and reputational damage. The first piece is reciprocal disclosure. When someone reveals something that seems private or risky, it creates a social gift. They have given you access. You may feel pressure to return access. They say, "Between us, leadership doesn't trust the launch plan." Then they ask, "What have you heard?" That second question is not neutral anymore. The first disclosure has changed the exchange. If you say nothing, you may feel cold or guarded. If you share something back, the relationship feels balanced. This is why gossip can create a feeling of fast closeness. The conversation skips ordinary small talk and moves directly into apparent vulnerability. But reciprocal disclosure can create perceived intimacy faster than it creates tested trustworthiness. You know the person shared with you. You do not yet know how they handle what you share with them. Those are different facts. Imagine a new coworker named Maya. During her second week, a friendly teammate tells her, "You didn't hear this from me, but our director plays favorites." The teammate gives examples. Maya feels relieved because some confusing interactions now have a story. Then the teammate says, "You've noticed it too, right?" Maya faces a hidden choice. The surface question is whether she has noticed favoritism. The social question is whether she accepts the teammate's interpretation and joins the same side. But the exchange can contain another invitation: coalition signaling. Not every gossiper is consciously running a loyalty test. Often people are simply venting or trying to understand an ambiguous situation. But shared evaluation still creates a small we. We are the people who see what is really happening. We understand the manager. We know who cannot be trusted. That feeling is powerful because workplaces contain uncertainty and unequal power. Shared interpretation makes the social environment feel easier to navigate. It can also make disagreement feel like disloyalty. If Maya says, "I haven't seen enough to know," the teammate may hear caution. Or they may hear, "You are not one of us." This is why simply declaring, "I never gossip," can be socially awkward. It may sound morally superior even when the boundary is reasonable. The goal is not to become an information vacuum. It is to redirect the conversation without humiliating the person. Try, "I haven't seen enough firsthand to judge that." Or, "What happened specifically?" Or, "I'm happy to talk about the work impact, but I don't want to guess about their motives." These responses stay engaged while separating observation from character judgment. That distinction matters because gossip compresses reputation. A person misses 2 deadlines. The story becomes, "They're unreliable." A manager rejects one idea. The story becomes, "She feels threatened by smart people." A coworker is quiet during a difficult month. The story becomes, "He has checked out." The original behavior may be real. The explanation is often inferred. Repetition then makes the inference feel like a fact. then the story can leave the relationship and become reputation. At work, we cannot personally observe everyone's behavior. We rely on other people's reports to decide whom to trust, avoid, include, or ask for help. That can support cooperation. If several people independently report that a colleague keeps commitments, their reputation becomes useful information. But reputational information is vulnerable to selective evidence and social incentives. The sentence "everyone says" may mean 6 independent observations. It may also mean one confident person told 3 people, and those 3 people later repeated the same story back to one another. Volume is not always independent confirmation. Sometimes it is an echo wearing multiple lanyards. Ask, what do we know firsthand, and what are we assuming? That question slows transmission without demanding that every informal conversation become a deposition. There is another reason gossip traps listeners: plausible deniability. Apparently, I'm not saying it's true, this is just what I heard. You didn't hear it from me. These phrases lower the speaker's ownership while preserving the implication. The information still lands. You still imagine the possibility. You may even change your behavior. But if the claim proves false, nobody technically claimed it was true. Plausible deniability does not remove the effect, it only makes responsibility harder to locate. Suppose someone says, "I'm not saying Priya is leaving, but she has been taking a lot of private calls." You can refuse the implication without attacking the speaker. That could mean 100 things. I'd rather not build a story around it. Or, if staffing changes affect us, I'll wait for confirmed information. Now consider the information that feels most like trust: personal disclosure. A coworker tells you about a health issue, family crisis, conflict with a manager, or fear about their job. The correct response is not to become suspicious of all vulnerability. Genuine connection at work matters. The boundary is about purpose and permission. Ask, do you want me to listen, help you think through it, or help you find the right channel? That question prevents you from turning someone's vulnerability into a puzzle to solve or a story to carry. If they ask for confidentiality, be honest about its limits. I'll keep this private, but depending on my role and our policy, I may need to get help if it involves safety, harassment, or another reportable issue. Do not promise secrecy you cannot keep. And do not confuse being trusted with being appointed the office's unlicensed emergency response department. Sometimes, the right support is helping the person reach a manager, HR, an ethics channel, an employee assistance resource, or another formal source of help. How do you respond when the gossip is about performance? Someone says, "Jordan is impossible to work with." Do not ask for more dramatic details as entertainment. Ask for behavior and impact. What happened on the project? If it is safe and appropriate, have you told Jordan what you need? Is there a decision or risk the team needs to address? If the issue is real, move it toward the person or process that can resolve it. It sounds like the handoff expectations are unclear. If direct conversation is safe, can we define them with Jordan in the room? For harassment, discrimination, retaliation, abuse of power, or credible safety and legal concerns, do not force direct confrontation. Document the facts you are permitted to retain and use an appropriate manager, representative, ethics, safeguarding, or formal process. This converts evaluative talk into operational feedback. The gossip trap survives when the conversation creates emotion but no action. Everyone feels informed. Nobody speaks to the person. The story grows while the problem remains untouched. There are 5 boundaries that keep you connected without feeding the system. First, separate facts from interpretations. They missed Tuesday's deadline, is observable. They don't care about the team, is an interpretation. Second, do not trade information to repay intimacy. You can respond warmly without offering another person's private story. That sounds difficult. I don't have anything useful to add about Alex, but I'm happy to think through what you want to do. Third, use the absent person test. Would you say the same description if the person walked into the room? This does not mean every private frustration must be repeated directly. People need space to process. It means your language should remain fair enough to survive daylight. Fourth, route high-stakes information appropriately. Safety, harassment, discrimination, retaliation, fraud, privacy, legal, or serious performance issues should not remain an informal whisper network. Follow the relevant reporting or support process. Do not investigate serious claims through office rumor. Fifth, protect the speaker without inheriting the story. Thanks for trusting me. I won't share this casually, though I may need to involve the right person if policy or safety requires it. What outcome are you hoping for? That keeps the focus on support in action. What if you have already shared something you regret? Do not launch a frantic tour asking everyone to promise silence. That often advertises the story to people who had forgotten it. Stop repeating it. Correct anything false with the appropriate people. If you expose private information, seek confidential guidance when needed. Tell the affected person only when doing so is safe and likely to reduce harm. Take responsibility and repair the impact without amplifying the story. I shared something that was not mine to share. That was wrong. I've corrected the conversation and asked the recipients not to repeat it. I'm sorry. Do not add, but everyone already knew. The population of the rumor does not change ownership of your action. What if you are the target? You hear that people think you are difficult, unreliable, unhappy, leaving, favored, underqualified, overqualified, or secretly 3 raccoons operating a laptop. Do not try to chase every version through the building. Find the operational consequence. Were you removed from work? Did a manager act on false information? Is a relationship damaged? Is there a specific claim you can correct? Address the relevant audience with observable facts. I heard there may be concern that I am leaving. I'm not. If staffing decisions are being made on that assumption, I want to correct it. Or, I understand there is feedback that my handoffs are difficult. I'd like specific examples and clear expectations so I can address the work. Do not demand a list of everyone who spoke. Focus on the decision, behavior, or reputation signal that can be corrected. If the gossip is harassing, discriminatory, retaliatory, threatening, or materially damaging, document the specific incidents and use the appropriate formal channel. There is a final misconception worth correcting. The safest strategy is not to share nothing personal at work. Total secrecy can protect you from exposure, but it can also prevent connection, support, and trust. Professional relationships are not built entirely from calendar invites and weather observations. The safer strategy is graduated trust. Share low-risk information. Watch how the person handles it. Notice whether they ask permission before repeating stories. Notice whether their warmth depends on having a shared enemy. Notice whether they can discuss someone's behavior without turning it into a character verdict. Trust should grow from repeated behavior, not from the intensity of one confidential conversation. Here is the complete system. When gossip arrives, identify whether it is fact, interpretation, or rumor. Notice the social invitation underneath it: connection, support, venting, information, or coalition. Respond to the need without automatically carrying the story. Move real work problems toward observable behavior in the right channel. Share personal information gradually, and judge confidentiality by behavior over time. Office gossip feels like trust because access is intimate, but access is not the same as safety. The person who tells you what everyone else said may be offering connection. They are also showing you how information moves through their hands. You do not have to reject the person. You just do not have to become the next delivery address. If this made you remember a sentence that began, "You didn't hear this from me," hit like and subscribe to Office Tells. And in the comments, tell me the boundary phrase you would actually feel comfortable using. Keep names and private details out of it. The break room plant has suffered enough.